Welcome back to Philosophy in Film, where we explore the big ideas behind your favorite movies. Today, we're diving into Groundhog Day, the 1993 classic, where Phil Connors, played by Bill Murray, relives the same day over and over again. It's a film full of existential questions, and to tackle them, we'll be analyzing it through the perspective of three ancient philosophers. Before we start, I'm Dave and my co-host Vincent, and our special guests are Thiana, Hugh, Jordan, and Amjad. Without further ado, let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to our podcast. Today, we're going to discuss the classic movie Groundhog Day. So, let's dive right into it. What do you think is the main problem or theme in this film?
Hi, Groundhog Day Groundhog Day explored the idea of being stuck in time loop. The main character, Phil's, keep reliving the same day over and over again. The core problem is Phil's personal growth or lack of it.
That's interesting. So, what do you think exactly causes him to be stuck in this loop?
It's not really explained directly in the movie, which make it even more intriguing. But the key idea is that Phil is stuck because he's selfish and doesn't care about others. He's forced to repeat the day until he learns to change his ways.
Oh, right. So, how does the movie show his transformation?
At first, Phil is frustrated and used the loop for selfish reasons, but over time, he realized that he needs to become a better person, more compassionate and kind. And this transformation is what eventually breaks the loop.
So, would you say that the main problem is Phil himself rather than the time loop?
Exactly. The loop is just a tool for Phil's self-reflections. The real issue is his attitude and how he views life and relationships.
Okay, that's a great insight. Thanks for breaking that down for us. Any final thoughts, maybe?
Just that. Groundhog Day is more than just a funny movie. It's a deep reflection on personal growth and how sometimes we need to face the same challenge repeatedly until we learn the right lessons. That's it.
Okay, absolutely. Thanks. So, today we are going to talk about the philosophical themes of the movie Groundhog Day and how Heraclitus, Parmenides, and Plato might respond to the movie. Nice to meet you, Q. To start off, would you briefly explain Heraclitus' philosophy and his views on change?
Nice to meet you too. Sure. Heraclitus, a pre-Socratic philosopher, is well known with his concept of theta ray, which means everything flows. He believed that the fundamental nature of reality is constant change. His famous phrase, "You cannot step into the same river twice," emphasizes that everything is in a state of flow, including ourselves. For Heraclitus, change is the only constant thing in the universe. He also believed in the unity of opposites and that conflict is a necessary part of his ever-present change.
That's interesting because in Groundhog Day, the main character, Phil, he's stuck in a loop, right? Living the same day over and over again without any change. How would this endless repetition be interpreted with Heraclitus' point of view?
Heraclitus would likely see the repetition in Groundhog Day as a violation of the natural order. For him, life is about change, growth, and transformation. Being stuck in a static, unchanging reality like Phil actually goes in contrast to the core of Heraclitus' philosophy. Phil's experience would represent a kind of existential stagnation. This no changing situation is, in a sense, anti-life from Heraclitus' point of view since it denies the fundamental truth that everything is continuously going forward.
So, in that sense, Phil's problem isn't only that he's reliving the same day, but that he's caught in a reality that contradicts the nature of existence, according to Heraclitus. Is that right?
Exactly. Heraclitus believed that the essence of life is that energetic interaction of forces that we are constantly becoming, never inactive. Phil's situation in Groundhog Day, where he wakes up to the same day without change, would represent the denial of becoming. It's as in spite of the fact that he's caught in a first reality, once that doesn't adjust with the true nature of the universe. Heraclitus would probably view Phil's pickle as an unnatural state that has to be corrected through change, conflict, and transformation.
So in the film, we do inevitably see Phil goes on a transformation as he started to change his behavior and grows as a person. How do you think Heraclitus would interpret this?
Heraclitus will likely see Phil's transformation as going back to the natural order, as Phil grows and changes internally, learning to be selfless, kind, and more aware of people and things around him. He starts to align with the idea that life is about constant development. This change in his character is what completely lets him go from the repetitive loop. Heraclitus will see this personal growth as an important conflict and resolution. Phil had to struggle with his situation, experience inner confusion, and eventually embrace change to escape the stasis he was stuck in.
As Phil finally breaks out the cycle, he wakes up to a new day. Would Heraclitus see this as a resolution to the unnatural state he was caught in?
Yes, Heraclitus will likely see the breaking of the cycle as a restoration of the natural order. Phil's personal transformation permits him to re-enter the flow of life, which had been blocked by the repetition. Once Phil embraces change within himself, the external world also changes. Times move forward, and he's no longer stuck in a static loop. For Heraclitus, these would symbolize a return to the reality of consistent flow and becoming. The resolution is found not in escaping the day itself, but in Phil's internal alignment with the principle of change.
So in conclusion, how does Heraclitus' philosophy shed light on the film's broader existential questions?
Heraclitus teaches that stagnation is the contrast of life's genuine nature. Groundhog Day reflects this by showing how embracing change and growth is essential to overcoming existential challenges. Heraclitus would argue that transformation is the key to find meaning and breaking free from repetition.
Okay, now a quick overview of Parmenides. He's famous for his idea that reality is unchanging and that everything we perceive as change, motion, or plurality is just an illusion. What his ideal, what his deal with reality?
So Parmenides wrote about this in his poem is called On Nature, where he describes two paths of inquiry, the way of truth, where everything is one and unchanging, and the way of opinion, where we're tricked by our senses into thinking unchanging is real.
Okay, so now let's bring this all back to Groundhog Day. So in the film, he is stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day over and over again. No matter what he does, nothing changes. How does this correlate into this whole Parmenides theory?
So according to him, Phil's experience of the day by repeating itself is static, just like Parmenides' unchanging reality. The illusion of the time and change is stripped away by showing that everything stays the same.
But there's an interesting twist. While Phil is stuck in an unchanging loop, he changes. Initially, he tries to change, living his reckless behavior. Eventually, he starts to better himself, like learning piano, helping the townspeople, and becoming more compassionate. This inner transformation raises an important question. Does this change conflict with Parmenides' view?
According to his, by changing in this level is being impossible. However, the change we witness in Phil is an illusion too. His external circumstances remain identical. Phil growth then could be seen as an internal realization, a shift in his understanding of the world rather than a fundamental change in being. It is as though he is aligning himself with Parmenides' truth, accepting that the external world is unchanging, but realizing his inner perspectives can be shifted.
So does Phil have a free will then, if everything's unchanging?
Phil's journey shows that freedom comes from accepting the unchanging world and choosing how to live within it. Instead of fighting the loop, he is finding inside it.
So ultimately, Groundhog Day can be seen as a cinematic metaphor for Parmenides' philosophy. Phil Cornish lives in a world where, like Parmenides' universe,
Yeah, exactly. In the end, the film shows that while the world stays the same, we can change how we experience by to find its meaning.
Point of view of Pluto. Of course, Pluto was not aware of the movie Groundhog Day as he lived before the advance of the cinema, but we can try get the thought of the idea of cinema, thought, his philosophy, expertise, and his thought and morality.
Apologies. So how does Phil's journey in Groundhog Day reflect Plato's philosophy of self-improvement and the pursuit of higher ideals?
Groundhog Day revolves around Phil Connors, who is trapped in a time loop that forces him to relive the same day repeatedly. Through his repetition, he undergoes personal evolution, first beginning to feel excited and worthless, then hopeless, and the grounding turned to the pursuit of various and self-improvement. According to Plato, and Plato believed that the emotional world of daily experience were less important than the ideal world, or what he know as world of forms, which consists of idea and changing form.
so for Plato, the changing daily world is just a shadow of what is the truly real and constant.
Exactly. That's why Pluto might see the revelation in the film like Groundhog Day as a form of impress- imprisonment in his sincerity world, providing the soul from attending through knowledge and deep
Okay.
thought.
So from a Platonic perspective, Phil Connors might be stuck in a world of superficial experiences, unable to reach the world of forms, which represents the highest truth, no?
Yes, and this daily repetition could interrupt as as an object to the soul's progress and the pursuit of true knowledge, according to Plato philosophy.
Okay, then. So, how does Plato's concept of virtue and the pursuit of truth through philosophical contemplation apply to Phil's journey in Groundhog Day?
Plato's entire system of thinking is designed toward the attainment of viral and search for the idea of true thought, philosophical contribution, and contribution. The character for as one of the assumption in the space who served on the nation of viral seeks education and self-improvement, help others, and attempt to establish more sense and context. Arguability, Plato may have viewed Groundhog Day as a philosopher journey toward the spiritual transcendence and escape from madness, worth seeing repetition as the meaning of learning, viral, and founding truth.
Okay, so to sum up everything, in Groundhog Day, the philosophical implications of Phil Connor's journey are explored through the lens of three ancient philosophers, Heraclitus, Parmenides, and Plato, each offering a unique perspective of their existential struggle. Heraclitus, with his belief in constant change, would see Phil's stagnation as a violation of the natural order, where life's essence is found in transformation. For Heraclitus, Phil's ultimate personal growth and his shift from selfishness to compassion symbolizes a return to the natural flow of life. On the other hand, Parmenides, who argued that change is an illusion and reality is unchanging, would interpret Phil's loop as a reflection of the true nature of existence. Phil's perceived inner growth could be seen as an acceptance of this unchanging, rapid reality, aligning with Parmenides' idea that the external world remains static while internal understanding shifts. Meanwhile, Plato might view Phil's journey as a metaphor for the soul's imprisonment in the sensory world, with the daily repetition of Groundhog Day representing an obstacle to reach the higher truths of the ideal world. From a Platonic perspective, Phil's transformation is a philosophical ascent where he moves from superficial experiences to the pursuit of virtue and wisdom, ultimately breaking free from his so-called metaphorical cave. So these philosophical viewpoints illustrate that Groundhog Day is not just a comedic exploration of time, but a profound reflection of the human condition, the nature of existence, and the pursuit of self-improvement. That is all from Vincent and I. I thank you guys very much. See you guys all soon.
Goodbye.